Grandpa Phillip Rivers is trying out for the Colts? What?
College football playoff is over with. Championship time, baby.
Turnovers should come from the bakery.
Hold up. It's the Chargers Squad. Everything Los Angeles Chargers every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the City of Angels. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Chargers Squad Show starting now.
Well, that was crazy on a stick. I am Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Chargers Squad Show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. Pete Fox, Kenyon Barner, 10 years in the league, 3 rings, and Jim Daniels, covering sports in LA dating back to 2001. I've been covering sports for NBC Sports Radio and ESPN LA since 2007. Tonight's episode of the Locked On Chargers Squad Show brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Well, I mean, I will say this. We talked about them needing to do something different and special to win this game, and that's exactly what happened. But the thing that frustrated me the most about this game was how open Ladd McConkey was all night long, and Phillip Rivers decides to just tuck it and run. I don't know if they had a spat. I don't know what's going on there, but I don't like it. Because Ladd McConkey was open, like standing there like this. Hey, I'm over here. Throw me the ball. And there's like, yeah, there were dudes close to him, but not that close. And Phillip Rivers is just like, yeah, it's good. I'm going to run. What? I mean, I love the game grittiness that he had in this game. And yeah, they won, and that's all great. But I mean, sacked 7 times. Like, it's just craziness.
Pete, I got a question.
Go ahead, hit him. Go ahead, hit him.
Get him.
He said it twice. Yeah, do it.
Well, yeah. Where's Phillip Rivers?
Did I say Phillip Rivers again?
Twice.
That was on my brain.
Give him another quote. That's fine.
It's late. It's late. We understand. It's late.
Justin Herbert. Herbie with the broken hand. Not Phillip Rivers. Like, but if Phillip Rivers is on the field against the Indianapolis Colts, he's going to have a broken hand and a bunch of other things real fast. But anyway, yes, I don't know what that was all about. It like, look, it worked out good. He ran the ball. He was the leading rusher on the
leading rusher
was Herbie. But that's not what we want. That's not what we're looking for. But again, got to do what you got to do, and he made it work, and they get the win. But I guess the lead of this game, I'm burying the lead. The defense came to play today. What did you see there, KB?
Exactly what you just said. There's going to be a lot of times in this game of football where one side of the ball is just not going to have it. The offensive side of the ball didn't have it today, and the defense did. The defense showed up, showed out, made the plays that needed to be played. Shout out to veterans on your rosters like Tony Jefferson, who show up in the big moments. We continue to highlight him. We continue to talk about him, but collectively as a unit, the defense showed up to play, from Dante, obviously, to Henley. The list goes on and on of guys that just continue to make plays. Tierra Tart showing up in big plays in the middle of the field. This was just a great defensive. I don't want to say defensive. This was a defensive battle from both sides of the field.
Yeah, when you look at that many turnovers, it's outrageous. And it's when the number gets to be so big, it's almost like, okay, this game is like slipping into one of those categories where anything crazy could happen. And that's exactly what you got to end the game. When they're looking like they're going in for the kill shot, it winds up being the opposite kill shot. But, when you got guys out there like Derwin James playing the way this guy does, and I think it was like, who else did you mention, KB, just a second ago, Tony?
Tierra Tart, Tony Jefferson.
Tony Jefferson talking about after the game, he goes, every play matters, every step matters, every breath matters. And more than ever, when you get in one like this, you got to claw to every second. I mean, this is it, and the result is the payoff. And if you keep fighting, if you live by that never give up thing, look what can happen.
Yeah.
Well, I always like to listen to what Harbaugh has to say coming out of the locker room at the half, and I always write it down. And today, his Harbaugh at the half comments were, gave us a little bit of that Ditka, which we always love. All we ask is for the offense, the defense, and the special teams to give it all you got for 30 minutes. And really,
all you can ask for.
That's what we got. They came and played their ass off in the second half. And again, you could say that even though some of the plays that Herbie was making today were probably not the smartest, they were
not.
They were gritty and tough. There's no arguing that, right?
One thing you can never question about Justin Herbert is his toughness. There should never be a question about this kid's toughness. This dude has surgery a couple days ago, out at practice a couple days later, and then you're out. Not only you're trying to stiff arm people with your broken hand. Like it's not the smartest thing, but then again, this is who Herbert is. And when you have a guy like that at the helm of your offense, at the helm of your team, you can't help but show up and fight. You have no excuse. It's one of those things where you look at yourself and you feeling down and you're moseying and around and you're not giving it your all. But then you look at your quarterback and you're like, well, what the hell am I doing? This dude's out here with a broken hand, stitches, and out here giving us everything that he has, taking hits, putting his hand down to brace his falls, trying to, again, stiff arm guys with it. Like, what more can you ask for from a quarterback? You know what I'm saying? What more can motivate? What better quarterback can motivate you than Justin Herbert in the way he fights for this team?
Yeah. 4 interceptions against Jalen Hurts. That was crazy. There was the one play early on where there was
17 fumbles on one play.
Yeah, Eagles were driving, they had some momentum. Then DeShawn Hand makes an interception, fumbles, Hurts recovers, then fumbles, and it was recovered then by Troy Dye. So that, like, they were like that was the fifth, an interception shortly thereafter. That was the 5th turnover in the last 11 plays. I'm like, how what? And now, oh yeah, there was 3 on one play. So
right. One play
or 2 anyway. But yeah, that was crazy. When you look at the way this game played out, I thought it was very, very strange from the standpoint that we expected them to run the ball more. And in the first half, they ran the ball 13 times, which is not enough, not really what you're looking for. But in the end, they ran it 38 times. So they made up for it in the second half. And that's all about making adjustments. And that's what good teams do. And the fact is that, you don't love that Herbie was the leading rusher with 66 yards, but he was making big plays. And that's another part of this. I think that we speculated would need to happen coming into this game, that the Chargers would have to figure out a way. But the thing that it was driving me crazy was that he's standing back there in the pocket. We know the line has problems. They're collapsing down like crazy because the Eagles are getting after him. And then Herbert steps up and as opposed to finding someone short and underneath, Lad McConkey, who was wide open, he's trying to go for the deep ball and to guys that aren't the receivers, because he wasn't throwing the ball to Quentin Johnston all that much. He wasn't throwing it to Keenan Allen all that much. He threw it to Quentin Johnston, 3 times? And caught it twice, but he's trying to throw it to Omarion Hampton and he's trying to throw it to Kamani Vidal. And it was like, there was just so many things that were bizarre. And I don't like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I think that's what's frustrating. They get the win. That's great. But it didn't have to be this way. I don't think, the Eagles were ripe, and Troy Aikman kept saying over and over, this defense for the Eagles is locking down the receivers. And I was like, are they? I don't know that they
were. They were a lot of, I think a lot of those sacks, a few of them, those are coverage sacks, especially late in the game where you look at those replays. Those guys are blanketed. There is no room to throw the ball. So you try and force it, you end up with an interception or something bad happens. So sometimes you do just have to eat that pass. And we've complained about it all season long, finding your running backs and using them as checkdowns. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're there for in the passing game. So I'm not completely mad or bothered by that. I do feel that there were moments in this game where Herbert was antsy in the pocket. And I felt like he did try and run at times where maybe sit a little bit longer and find somebody, but I do feel like Herbert got a little bit antsy in the pocket this game, and rightfully so. I mean, he was getting pressured play after play after play.
Yeah, I mean, getting antsy with a broken hand, I think is kind of, I don't know. That's another part. I mean, we're all sitting there holding our breath this entire game that he's going to get smacked in that. And he did a couple times where they were trying to swat at the ball and they couldn't get it. Obviously he did fumble once and threw an interception because his arm got hit by a defender. But ultimately it seemed foolish. It seemed reckless. Right. And I think, people in the chat have been saying it all season. Not so much tonight. They're just kind of commending the guy for being tough as nails. But, that's the kind of play where you're like, look, ultimately, did they win this game because Herbie was tough like that and running the ball? No, I don't think it was necessary. But it just shows you the kind of heart that guy has. And it's hard to argue with that. I mean, that's the bottom line. They started the game strong. First drive, they did a nice job stopping the run, sack, force a punt, and then Vidal, a 60-yard reception, but ran out of gas a little bit there, right? Did you see that, KB?
Yeah, ran out of gas. It's okay. That monkey got on his back.
Yeah, exactly. Then the touchdown was just easy. I mean, I love easy touchdowns early in the game.
Yeah.
That was nice to see as well. So they got off to a good start, and then I think another huge part of this game that we can't overlook as far as an MVP, Cameron Dicker. I mean, just money when you need him from deep.
You really can't say enough about him. You really can't. Like I think every fan should understand, us as analysts, there is something to say about when you have a reliable kicker. Like when you have somebody where you don't have to sweat, your heart doesn't have to pound, you don't have to second guess, you don't have to say, well, damn, should we just go for it? No. If it's up to kick it, because this dude is Mr. Reliable. He's Mr. Automatic. I've said it before, he puts you in the mind frame of Justin Tucker out there in Baltimore, when Tuck was absolutely running the league and hitting balls from 60 and 61 yards and, just going on a crazy streak. The Chargers have a luxury that a lot of teams wish that they could have, and that is a kicker that you can count on at any part of the field.
Yeah, he's money.
Money.
And they were right down Main Street,
Yeah.
So that was really comforting, especially in overtime when they were having a little bit of difficulty moving the ball. But that's where Herbie running the ball kind of did help them out. That paid off.
It helped a lot
Dramatically in overtime for sure. Because him pulling the ball on the RPO,
that was something that we talked about on the midweek show. Well, midweek show, the end of week show.
Yeah, right.
We talked about what would have to happen, with Herbert being hurt, having his hand in the offensive line. We talked about RPOs, and we seen the benefit of that late in the game in that overtime where Herbert's pulling the ball, making those long runs. I think Greg Roman was in his bag from a play calling standpoint. Obviously, it wasn't pretty. It wasn't how we would have liked it to look, but I think Greg Roman did a great job of doing the things necessary to put this offense in a position to win this game.
Cam Hart, DeShawn Hand, Dante Jackson, and Tony Jefferson.
Yeah.
That goes right up there with, like, if you lose a game where you have 4 interceptions, you should be ashamed, right?
Yeah, absolutely, 1,000%.
You should be embarrassed. But they didn't lose. They won. They got it done. Yeah. But they gave up 7 sacks, which that's not what you're looking for. So let's hope they can improve on that. John Lopez, all caps, who's got it better than us? Nobody. Right now, that's a good way to win. I mean, that's 5-0 in prime time. It did seem like different energy.
We talked about that. Prime time has been good to this Charger team. We need to play every game in prime time.
Yeah.
But yeah, 7 sacks, but 4 interceptions. So you're combating that, right? This was just a great morale win, right? When you don't have everything that you need, your offensive line isn't great. You're getting guys back from injury, and you find a way to win. You really can't complain about this victory.
Speaking of getting guys back, Jim is back.
Jim,
hey.
Way to have you back, my guy.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
I don't think so.
He's there.
It's okay. We're gonna keep it going.
Okay. Well, we'll take a break.
Take a break.
All right, and we're talking a little bit about Phillip Rivers at 44 trying out for the Colts. That's anyway, it's the Locked On Chargers Squad Show, a Monday night victory, 22-19 in overtime. An interception in the red zone to seal it was just remarkable, and the Chargers are now 9-4. So their playoff probability improves dramatically. We'll come back and talk a little bit more about the difference to me between the first half and the second half, because it felt like this was one of those ones where it was definitely two different games. Pete Fox, Kenyon Barner, and Jim Daniels is here, but not at the moment. He'll be back, though, as we all will be, right after this quick commercial timeout. All right, tonight's episode of the Locked On Chargers Squad Show brought to you by Aura Frames. The holiday are here and officially ready for you to start buying gifts. And if you're all, I know for me, buying gifts is so hard. I always try to get creative, and sometimes it's just too much work. So, suggestions of cool gift ideas are always welcomed and helpful. I also have to deal with a stepdaughter who is brilliant at buying gifts. She's always, she's not trying to outdo me, but she's just very clever and very smart when it comes to buying her mother gifts. And I'm always like behind the eight ball or a step slow. For example, she purchased the Aura frame for us a year or two ago, and it is on one of our end tables in our living room, and it is fantastic. If you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap. It's a way to share memories, because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You can preload the frame with photos before gifting it. So when you plug it in, the memories are already there. No apps to figure out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. But they do have an app, and you can add in the pictures, like kind of live stream them, basically, or not live stream, but like if you're out, at an event, you want to put pictures up on the frame for the family. If like you want to show the kids or whatever, grandkids, etc. This is a great way to do it. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using the promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. That's Aura, AURA frames.com, promo code Locked On. This deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast. So order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Locked On Chargers Squad Show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel, where, by the way, you can find David and Daniel Monday through Friday with an in-depth examination of what is going on in the Charger universe. And they're on for you to get all the information. We come on after the game and break it down for you, and those guys get in depth as to what is happening with this Charger team. But one of the things, KB, that was surprising to me, I thought the first half they played well, but they did it mostly with the run, I thought. But when you look at the numbers, they were not really there. 13 carries in the first half. Yeah. McConkey and Gadsden, 0 catches. I think at that point, 1 catch for Keenan, which came late in the first half, and no catches for Quentin had 2 at that point, and Vidal with the 1 big 60-yarder. So that was a little bit surprising to me that they weren't finding McConkey at all, because they just weren't dumping it out, doing the screen passes like we speculated that they should. And yes, I'm upset that they didn't follow our game plan, because it absolutely worked. But the good news is they came in the second half and had a different game plan. So when you look at that, do you think there was a little bit of kind of testing the water to see how they could run the ball?
Yeah, it kind of seems like that, right? Because if like you said, it's the tale of two halves. In the second half, they came out and they actually committed to it. You've seen Kamani, you've seen Hamp, you've seen those guys get the ball in their hand and make some plays on the ground. So it did kind of feel like they were kind of testing this Eagle front to see what they could do, see what they could get away with, and see if the run game would even work. But in the second half, you see it came alive.
Jim, enough running for you in this one. Omarion Hampton coming back from injury, 13 touches for 56 yards. I thought he ran the ball hard.
He looked good. He looked powerful. I'm glad they got him the ball. And I still would like to see more, especially with the success that you have with Kamani Vidal. I'd like to see Omarion Hampton. I'd like to see them go for more of it in the first half. I still think that the whole thing was very sloppily played. I mean, by both sides. I don't think you'll ever see the Philadelphia Eagles, just to talk about the other guy for a minute, I don't think you'll ever see them play a more sloppy, disconnected football game than they played. The Chargers seem to figure it out a little bit at halftime anyway, because they're like, all right, look, this isn't working. We got to change some stuff up. We're going to run the ball a little bit more. And Herbert, I don't know how much this is coaching or how much he just takes it upon himself. And KB, some of these runs, I mean, I know some of them are designed, but are we about 50-50 on that's Herbert's idea to run and the other 50 is the coaching staff?
I had the same question. I had the same exact thought. How much of this is what they're calling and how much of it is him just improvising?
I'd like to know.
I think this is a lot of Herbert improvising. I think it's a lot of him making reads, seeing that it's not there, and then just going on and taking off and doing what he has to do with the ball in his hand to extend drives. So I'm not sure. I think the RPOs, right, run pass design plays, obviously he has a choice in that it's a design run, but a lot of these other runs are just plays breaking down and Herbert doing what he does best, and that's improvising.
He's definitely getting comfortable with the pocket collapsing, him stepping up, trying to make something out of nothing. In the first, it definitely looked better. He had that really nice throw across his body to Trey Harris. I think that was late in the first, maybe early in the second, but it was a sweet pass. It's a nice play across the board. We didn't have a lot of that in the second half. I thought when he was scrambling out of the pocket, he was trying to make too much out of nothing. And he did it early. Like that 60-yarder to Kamani Vidal was just a little dump pass, and Vidal took it and ran. I'm like, that's what I wanted to see more of. Just dump the ball off and let these guys do their thing. We know that they're capable of that, but they just weren't running those plays. And I think that was the frustrating part to me. Another thing that I did enjoy and I liked seeing, and we've talked about this a lot, that this is the kind of thing that they need more of, is other guys that aren't offensive linemen blocking. Mm-hmm. Now, Kamani Vidal got pushed around a few times, but you got to appreciate the effort. Like he was getting in there and just like laying his body on the line against the guy that had to outweigh him by 50 pounds and, getting the job, slowing him up just enough is the way that Troy Aikman described it. And that's what I like to see, is that he's not afraid to do that. And I was happy to see that. And it didn't always work, but it worked enough, Jim, to where it gave Herbert a little bit more time, or it gave the guy carrying the ball a little bit more time. And that's the kind of thing this offensive line, needs to do, is just be creative and find ways to give Herbie a little bit extra time.
It is, and take the pressure off of him, because that the Eagles came in here knowing that he's 6 days off of surgery, knowing they want to put some pressure on him because it's going to create mental pressure just first. If you're just rushing him and getting him in face, that you're already getting to him because he's thinking about that now. And if you can get to him and sack him a couple of times, and then he winds up being sacked a career high 7 times. I mean, the Eagles were getting it done. I mean, you could argue that this was a pretty good defensive game because of what the defenses forced the two offenses into, which is a bunch of turnovers and doing things they didn't want to do. But again, I think the Chargers made the better of their time at halftime in making the adjustment, and running the ball more was clearly the answer. Look, the end result, how much you want to call that luck? I don't know, 50-50? I can live with that.
Pete, you talk about Kamani Vidal in pass protection. We, as running backs, we have this saying, die slow. Die slow. Don't die fast, die slow. And that's what Kamani Vidal did. Listen, majority of the time at the running back spot, you're going to be outmatched by that guy rushing from across the line of scrimmage, whether it's speed, power, weight, whatever it is. Most of these backs, they aren't 240. They aren't these big dudes. You're looking at 205, maybe 210, and most of these backers are 240, 245 with a 5-yard head start coming off coming downhill. So you're going to give, right? You're going to lose. The objective of the game is to do more getting than you got. And so for Kamani Vidal today, I thought he did a great job. You know what I'm saying? Dying slow, holding on as long as he could. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, but we got the job done.
Yeah, that one safety who had Herbert just right in the crosshairs, and Herbert just did a little bit of a spin move and got out. That guy was just like, that was a situation where he was just coming too fast and too hard.
Mm-hmm.
If he could have drilled him, he probably would have been flagged, but he absolutely could have drilled him, maybe knocked him out of the game or changed his thought process going forward there. But yeah, he caught a break by not getting blasted. Right.
That was like, what? He must have been like, what just happened there? I had that guy.
Philly fans are going, "What's wrong with you?"
And see, that's why I feel for defensive players, right? How are you expected to play this game, but you have to slow down when you get to the quarterback?
And
It
another
just doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Another tip of the cap to the defense that Saquon ran for 122. He had a good game, right?
Yeah, good
Obviously,
game.
a big chunk, 50 plus on that
Yeah.
one.
A holding call in the middle of it.
Right. Yeah, that's true. But they also missed one on that same guy earlier in the game. So you could
missed
argue
a couple on my ladder.
Yeah, they did.
Missed a couple.
they did.
I missed a couple.
You could argue that it worked out in the end, but yeah, that one was tough right there because a lot less has been called and was being called in this game. But yeah, Saquon 20 touches for 122 and a touchdown, but only the one big chunk play. And the drive after Saquon had that touchdown, completion allowed first of the night. Then Herbie scrambles to avoid a sack on third down. 3 passes on to an open McConkey. Tries to get to Vidal. On third down, rather, he had Lad McConkey. That was another one where he's standing there wide open with his arms like at the first down marker, and he tries to throw it to Vidal, and on a out route, which was a good 20-yard chunk play. And I was like, that is not what we're looking for. That was just dumb.
He airmailed it.
Yeah, he threw it over his head. So those are the type of things where it's frustrating. You wish that they could have played this one cleaner, but in the end, you got to do what you got to do and come out with a win, and they did. So I hope this builds confidence for them, and I hope that they look at some of those plays and say we got to be cleaner. But again, KB, when you win a game like this, obviously, how much time do you spend focusing on the negative? Not a lot, probably, right?
Listen, I've said it before. The negatives are a lot easier to deal with in a win. So you'll definitely address them, right? But they won't mean as much as they would have meant in the loss. So even though they're there, you still I think you have to put emphasis on it. Even though you won, you got to emphasize it, right? You got to make it a point to press home these issues and the things that you got wrong, so you can make the proper corrections and correct them for the following week.
I think the Chargers probably feel like Miles here. ID Gaff, Bolts 9-4.
I know what you mean, Miles. We won't say it on here, but I'm right with you. We don't give a neither.
Yeah. So I wish that we could spend a little bit more time talking about the line improving, but the pocket was just collapsing time after time after time. And that to me is not great. And so I think we're at this point of the season where we just got to keep duct taping it together and hope for the best and keep grinding. Right, Jim?
That's all you can do, I mean, there's not a Walmart where you go get offensive linemen from, put them in your cart and go to the checkout line. I mean, unfortunately, because if there were, it'd be a busy place. Every team be lined up there trying to get somebody. But man, I mean, even Bozeman hung Herbie out to dry a couple of times, just turned the wrong way. And I mean, I know it happens. It turned the wrong way, and there's nobody to block. And the next thing you know, the guy you were supposed to be blocking is staring your quarterback in the face. He's lying on top of him. And you can't have that. I mean, that's what leads to 7. That's what leads to career high in sacks, is this patchwork offensive line thing. But, like you said, Pete, all you can do is duct tape it and move forward and keep going and try and make it easy for them. I think the RPO stuff makes it easy for them, doesn't it, KB?
It makes it a lot easier to deal with, right? You get two different options on it. I can either give it or I can
pass
throw
blocking.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, your job is a lot easier when you're running the ball. You don't gotta hold on as long. So it does become easier. But we also got to give the Eagles defensive front some credit, right? These aren't no pushovers. These aren't just, jags. These aren't just guys. These are actually dudes that can really play the game of football and play it at a high level. A lot of these guys were on this Super Bowl team. So, this is a defensive front that is known for getting after the quarterback.
Yeah, without a doubt. They were putting the pressure on him for sure. And which is why I was hoping that they would just use more bubble screens or just dump the ball off more. It would have kept him, not that he got hurt, would have kept him more healthy. It would have made life a little bit easier. And, because they were able to get to the backfield and make things happen there. But it's just not what they decided to do. And somehow, they made it work. And that is all that matters in the end. And ultimately, in spite of 122 from Saquon Barkley, it felt like to me, like they did a pretty decent job of containing him, right? They didn't let him get those big chunks on a regular basis, right? So he averaged 6.1, and I think that's another tip of the cap to the Chargers defense, that they were able to, after 122 yards, say that, yeah, basically they contained him. And, I thought after that big chunk where he scored the touchdown, I'm like, okay, he's got it. He's rolling, and look out, he's going to finish this game strong, and they're going to win, going away. And the Chargers are going to be lucky that they were in this game for as long as they were, but they kept grinding and figured out a way to get this win. And that's huge for them, especially with a 6-7 Chiefs team on the horizon that we've already prevailed over once. So they have to feel pretty confident going into that one next week. We'll talk a little bit about what is ahead for the Chargers and how they come away from this game feeling health-wise after a 22-19 overtime win to beat the Eagles at SoFi. Pete Fox, Kenyon Barner, and Jim Daniels. It is the Locked On Chargers Squad Show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. All right, today's episode of the Locked On Chargers Squad Show also brought to you by Game Time. The World Cup is coming back to North America for the first time since 1994 with 48 teams for the first time ever. It's going to be massive, but let's be honest, getting tickets is usually the hardest part. That's where Game Time and their app comes into play, and it's very clutch, finally giving fans a real advantage when it comes to snagging seats. With Game Time, you can track price drops in real time, get alerts when great seats open up, and buy tickets the moment they hit the app. It puts the power back in your hands and makes going to the World Cup realistic instead of impossible. The fact is that the longer you wait, closer to you kick or tip or first puck or first pitch, the prices go down. They also have views from the seat, which is huge because sometimes, moving a section over or a section back can save you a lot of money. It doesn't really change your view all that much. Take the guesswork out of buying World Cup tickets and every match, concert, or event with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL, and you'll get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, make an account, use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, Game Time. All right. Kenyon and I are back. Jim's still having internet issues. I don't know if it's me or not. My wife was like, we're having all sorts of internet problems. I'm like, we are? So it could be me. I hope not. It seems to be working good on this end, but who knows? We're here, and we'll hope that Jim will rejoin shortly. 22-19, the final. Jalen Hurts did the Chargers. We have to acknowledge this. He did the Chargers a bunch of favors tonight. 21 of 40. With 4 interceptions and no touchdowns. That one he threw to AJ Brown that was intercepted by Cam Hart. That one just had a little too much mustard on it. He threw a lot of passes like that tonight. It seemed like to me like he saw the window open and he just cranked up the fastball and put a little bit too much on it. And that's one of those things where I think that it's tough for a quarterback like that, because he's a good quarterback and I've never criticized him. I was surprised that people weren't all over him higher in the draft than they were, because he was a fantastic college quarterback. But to me it feels like he's just, am I wrong to say he's lacking a bit of touch? I mean, he doesn't have that sort of touch with the pass that great quarterbacks have.
Touch is a hard concept for a lot of quarterbacks. Even playing with Tom Brady.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady would gun that thing. You could be 5 yards away and Tom was going to gun it. I don't know what it is about quarterbacks, but some of them just got that fastball and they like to throw it. I remember playing with Sam Bradford. If we would literally have to tell Sam before Sam, take something off of it. Literally, take something off of it.
Yeah.
Touch is just a hard concept for some quarterbacks, and sometimes I will say this, he's inconsistent with it. There's no consistency. Sometimes he has it, sometimes he doesn't, and there was a lot of fastballs being thrown tonight, and there were some that were caught, and there were some that wasn't.
Yeah, it seemed like if he saw the window open and he felt like he had an opportunity there, he was he was a half step, take a beat, take a breath. And he was just like, oh, there he is, and he was rushing it just a hair. But that being said, I felt like the same way that I felt about Saquon, about AJ Brown. Like, yeah, he had 6 catches for 100 yards, but it wasn't like it could have been worse, right? It didn't.
It could have been a hell of a lot worse.
I mean, he's a stud without a doubt, and as a guy that pays attention to the Titans because my dad lives there, and they've been a fun team to follow and watch through their time in Nashville. I don't want to say I'm a fan because I know all you Charger guys are like, you're a poser, you're not a Charger fan, you're a poser, you're a poser. So I pay attention to the Titans because my dad lives there, and we've been to a few games and whatever. But the fact is, I was like, "What?" When they got rid of him, I was like, "What are they doing? Like, how are you getting rid of AJ Brown?"
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
Hell, so
I didn't understand that.
Yeah, that was crazy. But the guy, here's another thing today that I was like, this guy's going to beat us single-handedly. Really, Dallas Goedert. I mean, he was like, they did not have an answer for him early on, and I think that's because they were spending so much time dealing with AJ Brown, because early in the game he was nullified. He got his big chunk plays late in the game. So and that opened up Dallas Goedert, right?
Yeah, but not only AJ, but you got Devontae Smith. Like one thing the Eagles have is a receiving core. And all those guys can play the game of football. All those guys are explosive, and all those guys are guys that you have to key on, because Devontae can hurt you, AJ can hurt you, Goddard can hurt you. So you can get hurt in more than one area on the field when it comes to this Eagles offense. You just kind of got to pick your poison.
Hanan DeRay says, Ladd, QJ, and Gadsden take too many games off. We won this game without pass catchers. I don't. I disagree with that completely. I don't think those guys took the game off. I just think for whatever reason they weren't calling plays for them, or we talked about it earlier on that Herbie wasn't throwing it to those guys. I saw him open many times, especially Ladd.
Yeah, it's not that's not a thing. Sometimes fans could get ahead of themselves. But I can guarantee you that Quentin's not trying to take a day off. Ladd's definitely not trying to. Nobody on this team is showing up and saying, you know what, I'm just gonna mail it in today. I'm gonna just do what I can and won't do.
Well, there was the Jacksonville game.
Well, you got a point there. There was the Jacksonville game. There was the Giants game. But even then, right? I'm not gonna say they mailed it. They didn't show up. I got nothing for you. Disagrees
with us a little bit here. They wouldn't have won without Herbert's gutsy runs.
I'm 1,000% in agreement with that. I think, again, Herbert was our leading rusher today, so he clearly had to run the ball. So I'm glad he said that, because earlier when we were talking about it, I wanted to touch on that. I think it was absolutely necessary for Herbert to run the way that he did run, because without it, we don't move the chains the way that we did. We don't extend drives, even though it was nerve-wracking to watch every time contact got close and every time he took contact. But without him using his legs the way that he did, especially on those RPOs where he was pulling the ball, where they were completely selling out on the back, those drives would have come to an end a lot quicker, and a lot of those drives wouldn't have resulted in field goals that did result in field goals.
10 carries for him, 66 yards at a long of 15. I look at this one from Herbie's perspective, Jim, and I say, phew, like they got away with one there, and he's no worse for the wear, and they get the win. And I think against Kansas City, it's going to be a completely different beast.
I think you're right.
Jim there, KB.
Yeah, no, every game is going to be different, right? And when you look at this Kansas City Chiefs team, this is a struggling team, both offensively and defensively. I think they're still trying to find who they are in this season, even though the season is coming to a close. This isn't the typical Kansas City Chiefs team that we're accustomed to seeing, not offensively or defensively. But I do believe the game will look different, right? Every game is different based on the team that you're playing. So Chris Jones is going to be Chris Jones. He's going to get in the mix, and that's somebody that we're going to have to key in on. He's going to try and get after the quarterback, but I think that this Kansas City game will be more favorable, right, from an offensive line standpoint than what this Philadelphia Eagle game was for our Chargers.
Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs, they're kind of in that position right now where they need to win them all if they're going to make it to the playoffs. And even sitting on the outside looking in at this point, this is one of those victories or a game where a victory would be nothing more than, hey, beating someone in the division and, beating some like a moral victory kind of a thing, beating someone who beat you early in the season. And that's worth something. Not that this is the Chiefs and Chargers are a huge rival, but there is a rivalry aspect to it. And off the top of my head, so don't crucify me if I'm wrong here, I can't think of the last time the Chargers swept the Chiefs in a season. Has that happened recently? I don't think it has. So
that's maybe somebody could bring that in, but I don't know. It hasn't been for a long time. We can say that. I know that for a fact. It hasn't been for a long time. Yeah.
I'm looking it up here real quick, and I'm typing, so people are gonna be like, "Hey, what's that typing sound?"
What's that typing sound? I hear typing in the background.
Chiefs in a season.
That has to be long ago.
The last time the Chargers swept the Chiefs in a regular season was 2013. So over 10 years ago, 12 years ago, they won both matchups 27-24. So that would be a huge feather in their cap. Let's see if we can get Jim. Jim's there. Can you hear us, Jim? I don't know what is going on.
Jim's struggling today. Okay.
His internet is powered by a rabbit on a treadmill.
But about this Kansas City team, I think at this point in time in the season, all they're trying to do is play spoiler. I don't, the playoffs for them is kind of a long shot right now. Not that they can't, but they need a lot to go in their favor, and they need to take care of their business, but they need a lot of help. So we definitely got to take care of business this coming week. And for the Chargers, they go on the road for the next 2 games.
Yeah.
So now you leave the comfort of your own home. What are you going to do on the road? What are you going to do in crowd noise? What are you going to do where the offensive line is already struggling at home? But now communication kind of is cut in half, right, due to noise. So it'll be interesting to see how we handle that aspect of it going up there, and what many would say is one of the loudest stadiums in Kansas City out there, Arrowhead.
This matchup predictor has it at 65-35, Kansas City winning that game, which is a little surprising. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it is in Kansas City.
At home.
Yeah, and Herbert's still banged up, and the Chargers' offensive line is what it is. So the fact is that it's a big game for them, without a doubt. But it's not unwinnable, and I don't think that they're going to be looking past them to the Cowboys, because that's another.
Absolutely not.
Right, they've got 4 big games coming up. All of these games are against tough teams. Even though Houston doesn't have a great record, they have a fantastic defense.
Yeah, but they're tough.
Yeah. So, and then obviously the Cowboys are fighting for a playoff position because the AFC East is on the weaker side. So there's plenty of availability there. So, they're trying to keep up with the Eagles, who have now lost 3 in a row. So that's a big game for the Chargers. Then you got Houston, and they finished the season with Denver. So I guess we can only hope that Denver has very little on the line at that point, and that the Chargers can use that one. Maybe it's meaningful for the Chargers, but not meaningful for the Broncos. So it could be a bit of a pushover, but I don't know. We'll see. And we had to take one more quick break. We'll come back and talk about special teams, because I want to ask you about the kick return. And Jim is back and he can hear us. So we're going to get Jim's final thoughts on this one, because he's just been there, tallying up comments and reaction. It's the Locked On Chargers Squad Show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out Daniel and David Monday through Friday with the daily Locked On Chargers podcast. All right, today's episode of the Locked On Chargers Squad Show is also brought to you by FanDuel. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Like in this overtime, you could have thought, I know the Chargers are going to win this game, in spite of a Daffy Oweh's offsides penalty that nearly cost him. You thought, I'm such a diehard fan that I believe in my team and that they're going to win this game, and you could have made a live bet that they are still going to hold on and win it, and that would have paid off for you very nicely. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is the best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment with live betting. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this offseason, visit FanDuel.com. I'm sorry, this season, not this offseason. Visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long at FanDuel.com. The game moves fast, so you can move fast with it. It is the Locked On Chargers Squad Show on the Locked On Chargers YouTube channel. 22-19, a tipped pass in the corner. Well, it wasn't the corner of the end zone, but it was the red zone, like at the 2-yard line. A tipped pass results in an interception, and the Eagles are turned away, and the Chargers win it, holding on. That was a classic snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, if you asked me right there. One of the things about it that was great is they just kept grinding. The defense did not ever take their foot off the gas, and they kept making life difficult for the Philadelphia Eagles. But I will say this, after last week seeing some decent kick returns and punt returns, today I didn't see that. I saw the bare minimum, like kind of first point of contact, KB, and they clearly saw it too, because they had a bunch of different guys returning kicks today. I think at least 3 or 4. Kamani Vital was returning.
Haskins that was back there.
Yeah, Haskins, Davis. They had at least 3 guys returning kicks, and I don't know that it's on them. I think it's just more on their blocking schemes, that they're not opening up holes for these guys on kick returns. And I think they're just doing the bare minimum. And I feel like they look at it as a positive, like, hey, we're on the 30. It's cool. Whatever. We don't need to beat the 35. But compared to what they've dealt with for years when they would start at the 20, I feel like the new mindset is like, hey, it's already 10 fewer yards. We're good. But I would like to see more. How about you?
Absolutely. Yeah. This phase of the game is meant to change game, is meant to impact. And we definitely more, not only from our returners, but from their blockers. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. This kickoff return is now about one-on-one matchups. It's now being able to execute one-on-one blocks. And so it's not easy. And the Philadelphia Eagles, clearly their coverage unit today was elite. With getting down the field and, closing up gaps and not allowing any holes for those guys to run through. But we definitely need more from the special teams unit from a return standpoint, both kickoff return and punt return.
So, Jim, what are your final thoughts on this one? Justin Herbert, 12 of 26 for 139 yards, ran it for 66. Do you foresee that similar type of game next week against the Chiefs?
I'm curious what to expect out of that team, because they're almost practically eliminated. They're almost joining we'd like to thank you for participating in the 2025 season card. They're about to get that one. So I don't know, are we going to get the corner dog thing? Or are they going to be like Travis was on TV after the game, all pouting on the sideline, and we don't get to go? I don't know what to expect from that team, but I'll tell you what, there's still Houston and Denver left on the schedule for this team. So it doesn't get any easier the rest of the way. To win this game was huge, huge, huge. To get to 9 wins, that makes it, easier to get into that wild card scrum, regardless of what happens on the last game of the season with the Broncos. And who knows what happens there, because they might be in a spot, KB, when the coaches want to throw in the towel in these end games, like we got nothing to, we have nothing to gain from winning this last game, so everybody going to sit. We want the Chargers to beat us, but you know what? We don't want to get anybody get hurt either. So that last game, kind of a question mark. But, we're putting Justin Herbert at too much risk. Maybe some of it's his own fault by the running that he's doing, but he can't be the leading rusher for the Chargers going forward. That is not sustainable.
He was without the dog on offense today. There's no doubt. And he put this team on his back. It wasn't what we wanted to see, but in the end, hey, it worked and we got a win, and that's all that matters. And he's fine. It's probably a little sore, but a little banged up on the left elbow and the left hand. But nothing, time won't heal. He'll be fine. Here's my question for you guys. With a fantastic defensive performance, pick one guy, KB and JD. Who is your dog on defense? For me,
easy.
I'll go last. KB.
Yeah, I think this is easy for me. I'm going T-Jeff all day long. Mr. Closeout himself, old vet, on practice squad, on the active, cut, sign. You got to love a guy like Tony Jefferson, a guy who shows up to work day in and day out, and a guy that you could throw in the game and you could trust him to do his job.
5 tackles, 1 pass defended. What do you got, Jim?
Would have loved to gone with that one too, because he's like the Mickey Rowe. He's the guy that is just give me a shot. I'm gonna be ready. Derwin James, when he went into the medical tent, I was like, ah! I mean, that was the look on my face. I said, please come out of there with your helmet, and he did. And it's like, oh. What a sigh of relief. Yeah, no, I don't want to go anywhere without that guy. Please.
Yeah. He had 3 tackles, 3 solo, 1 TFL. Cam Hart was fantastic for me. 3 passes defended, had an interception. He was all over the field. I thought the corners and DBs just did a fantastic job across the board. Tarheeb Still, they were all Dante Jackson. They were all very, very good. They were a big part of making this game come away with a W for the Chargers today. So let's hope we can have more of that, because there have been times when we're like, what was that? We didn't see a lot of broken coverage today. And when late in the game, when Devontae Smith had that big catch, there was no broken coverage. It was just, he found a soft spot in the zone, and there was a nice pass catch, and the completion was there. I mean, Jalen Hurts made a good pass there.
Yes, he did.
It was one of the every other good passes that he made, 21 of 40 on the day. So all in all, I feel like a win is a win, right? You come away with a win, baby. Move on to next week and worry about that when you get there. They'll start at
that's Kansas City, and that's doable. Everybody's had them, and you still got the Cowboys in there who are also eliminated, and you might be able to pick up a win there. The last 2 tough games might not matter all that much.
Yeah, and go ahead, Pete.
I was just going to say, Jim, I don't know if you caught it, but the Chargers have not swept the Chiefs in a season since 2013. So that's definitely something that they have to be aware of, and something that is on their mind. It would be nice, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Jim, you said something earlier about, guys calling it in, coaches calling it. It's more so about players. Once you realize your season is over, guys are already making those Cancun plans. Guys are they're already talking about, we're going to Cabo. So if that is the case at the end of this season with Kansas City, with Dallas, depending on what goes on with Denver may be resting their guys if they lock up and clinch. You never know. But if it's the case that some of these teams' seasons are done, a lot of these guys are checked out.
That's what they call making business decisions, right, KB?
Business decisions are made far too often in this game.
Spread going into this one next week is from 4.5 to 5.5. They haven't officially locked it yet. In favor of the Chiefs, the Chargers are going to come into this one as underdogs. I'm a little surprised by that.
I'm not. Look at our O-line. We're going to be an underdog in every game.
Yeah, that's true, especially on the road.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll be here to break it down when it is over, and we'll catch you guys midweek with the Locked On Chargers midweek squad show, either probably Wednesday. Seems to be a good midweek day, Wednesday, and then we'll end up punting and do it on Friday like we did this week.
Nah, I don't have no media obligations this week. We're good.
Well, yeah, speaking of that, we got a couple more minutes to talk about some other football stuff. First of all, I started the show with it, but is Phillip Rivers going to make the Indianapolis Colts at 44 years old? Is that possible? Has there been a grandfather that has played in the NFL? Would that be a first? That is just mind-boggling to me.
Joe Flacco is still playing.
He's not 44 years old, though, is he?
Joe Flacco is definitely in his 40s. I feel like Joe Flacco has been playing since I was in elementary school.
He needs to go to Las Vegas. Didn't Gino get hurt?
Aaron Rodgers is playing. We definitely got some.
Flacco's only 40. That's
He's 40.
Okay.
I know, but that's a world away from 44. When
Is it in football years?
In
football years?
Kids. He's got a kid that's a 23-year-old and a 2-year-old. I mean, come on. That is just insane.
Bill might come back and light Indianapolis on fire.
And briefly, you covered the Big Ten championship game, which was mind-boggling that nobody scored from the 8-minute mark of the third quarter. Tell us what happened there. That was just the showing up.
No, it was a defensive masterclass by both sides. That Mendoza kid is absolutely tough as nails. Indiana, I said it before the game, is just something about that team under Coach Cignetti. They just built different. They've been through the fire. They've been tested. They're purified, and they rose to the occasion in a game where many thought it would go the other way. So a lot of big plays made in that game. Again, this was the battle of the number 1 and number 2 team in the country, and it was very clear. It was very, very evident. Just a hell of a game of football. Hell of a game of football.
And Jim, what's your 2 cents on Notre Dame saying, you know what, we're just going to take our ball and go home.
Man.
We don't get to be in the playoff. We're not going to the bowl game.
Insert this emoji. Stop it already.
Threw a
The
tantrum.
first one to get snubbed. Give me a break.
Don't they get paid for going to bowl games? Isn't that
Yes. You apparently don't need the money there at Notre Dame. Okay.
You clearly don't. But I think that's one of the weakest moves I've ever seen in my life. Because you listen,
The kids.
I mean, there's a lot, right? And unless all the players agreed upon this, right? If they had a team meeting and this was voted on by players and coaches,
20-year-olds what they wanted to do.
Hey, if that's what you're going to do, but if this was a decision just made by Freeman and the AD to say, oh, you know what, we got snubbed, we're not playing. You got to think about those kids who for a lot of those guys, that last game of football was the last game of football that they will ever be able to play.
Yeah.
So you've taken something from them that they could have potentially done in this bowl game. You've taken something from families. You've taken something from the fan base, all because you didn't handle things on your end of the deal. The objective of the football is to win. And there's a saying, don't leave the game in the ref's hands. If you don't want the committee to make a judgment call on your team, win. It's really simple. Win. Play better. Have a tougher schedule and win. It's simple. Don't throw a tantrum when it doesn't go your way.
Yeah, be the grown up and make the right decision for the 20-year-olds who are going to make an emotional decision, likely because that's what they do. You're supposed to be the smarter one to think for them and say, no, you know what? Let's go play one more. Let's go be part of the New Year's celebration. Everybody's in a bowl game. Let's give all the family someplace to go and the kids a chance to pad up one more time. Come on, snap out of it.
Yeah, and if they win, if they were to go to a decent sized bowl game, which they would have, and they won, let's say they won 40-10 or something, they could pound their chest and say, oh, we should have been there. But this is, to me, people are saying this is how you fix the playoff, is you put these teams like Notre Dame and Miami in there and you leave James Madison out. I totally disagree. This is what the playoff is all about, putting teams like James Madison into the playoff. They're probably going to get smoked by Oregon, but they are facing Oregon, right? Or
they are. No, they are.
Yeah, James Madison's probably going to get smoked by Oregon.
But let him have a shot.
Right. That's what it's all about, is giving these group of 5 teams an opportunity. And yeah, at some point, like you look at basketball, a 16 had never beaten a 1 until they did. Yeah. And so, at some point in time with this playoff, one of these double-digit seeds is going to beat an Oregon or whoever.
We're not going to put that on Oregon. We're not going to put that on
Ohio State.
We're not going to put that on us, Pete. We're going to rebuke that in the name of Jesus right now.
like an Oregon, not Oregon.
No, we're not going to take that one. No. Listen, I said this earlier. To your point, right? In football, it's a hell of a lot harder. This ain't March Madness. This ain't the Cinderella stories, right? This isn't a Florida Gulf Coast. This isn't a VCU,
Yeah.
where you can go on a run and get hot in March Madness. It once you get to these elite teams, the Ohio States, the Georgias, the Michigans when they are, the Indianas this year, the Oregons, there's a talent pool that you're up against now, right? And it becomes a hell of a lot harder for a lower tier school to compete at that level. One, you don't have the financial means to compete. You don't have it's a lot that you just don't have. And so I'm not saying that it can never happen, but it's going to be a hell of a lot harder to happen in football, especially at that playoff level, right? Where you have these top tier teams that are prime, prepped, and ready, that are really locked in to make a run at a championship. This isn't week 1 in the season or week 2 where you're still trying to find your identity and figure your team out, where a team can come in and get a win. These teams are locked, loaded, and ready to play and make a run at a champion. It's just a lot harder for for teams to come in from that group of 5 and really make a run at this thing.
Yeah, no doubt. It's I think it's better. There's still problems, and there probably always will be, right? You put in more teams, and you put in 16, people will be like, there needs to be 24, like the World Cup, 48 teams. That's what's going to happen at some point. Like everybody's going to the.
This is what I say: have playing games. You can take on a March Madness model, right, where you have that first round be playing games, so you can have your group of 5 versus whoever you want to leave out. Okay, well, here's your opportunity to prove it. You didn't get into the playoff. If you're a power 4 school, play these other schools for a playing game, and if you win, you're in. I think that can eliminate a lot of crying and whining that we're seeing this year. It's really crazy. It's mind blowing.
I like that idea.
Yeah, that's not bad. They also need to put restrictions on this NIL stuff. That's a whole nother conversation.
A whole lot of money.
There has to be some sort of rule, something.
But how now? The NCAA is good for nothing now. So what can you do? How can you govern? It goes back to the old SEC days, the brown paper bags, the sandwich bags. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are completely separate entities that now have access to players so you can put a cap on it. But for years and years and years, schools and conferences found ways to circumvent the system and still get players what they needed to get. So you can, again, a cap can be there, that's fine, but there's always going to be a way, Pete. There's always going to be a way.
Yeah, look, my daughter plays in a volleyball club, and I had to sign her up for some governing body, and they're not allowed to transfer from one club to the other in the middle of the season. But I'm like, college football, they can do anything they want. I don't know if they would transfer in the middle of the season, but I don't think there's a restriction. It's like
there's one portal window now. You get one, but even then,
they can only do it when the window's open. Yeah. I just think there should be a limit on how many times you can transfer.
I'm all for that. Yeah,
you're not like Nico Iamaleava, who's transferring every year to get paid more. And
Pete, he only transferred once. Okay. Stop it.
Who's the guy that there is a quarterback that transferred like 3 or 4 times that has a name very similar to Maliava.
Now, Nico started at Tennessee as a true freshman
for $2 million a year.
$2 million a year, and then whoever got in his ear and told him,
who's the Clemson guy that has a name very similar to that went from Clemson to Oregon State, and then he transferred like
DJ.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. DJ started out. He didn't really play at Clemson. He went from Clemson to Oregon State to Florida State. But that's just the lay of the land right now. A lot of us don't like it. I don't care about the portal. I'm not a fan of it. I do think there needs to be more rules and regulations and guidelines implemented to kind of prevent people from doing that, but not only for players, coaches as well. You look at this Lane Kiffin situation, who jumps from their team in the middle of the season to go coach another team. I think that's complete BS. So there needs to be some adjustments made across the board.
When you say cap, you mean the amount of money they're able to spend?
The amount of money a team can give a player. Or players. So when you're talking about a cap, it's like the NFL cap, right? You can't go over that cap, otherwise you're penalized. And so if you want to put a cap on NIL, now it becomes about everybody on the roster getting paid and how there's a certain number that you can't go over.
I mean, Jim could coach LSU with $40 million.
Yeah, kid.
Listen,
well.
I coach him for $40 million and you could buy me out the next year. I'm good.
Yeah, I don't feel bad when coaches get fired in the NFL or any professional coach. I'm like, they're fine.
Contracts are guaranteed. They're getting all that money. It don't matter. It's coming to go somewhere, sit on the beach and drink a Mai Tai.
Right, exactly. I'm not feeling bad for you when you get fired when you got a 10-year deal.
And I don't feel bad for the university either because they're not paying for it. They go to one of the boosters like, hey man, somebody needs to buy out this contract. I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
I'll eat the $60 million.
I'll pick up this one.
It's crazy.
All right. Well, there we got all kinds of football here today, NFL and college. That's gonna do it for us here at the Locked On Chargers Squad Show. For Kenyon Barner, 10 years in the league and 3 rings. Jim Daniels, I am Pete Fox. We will catch you guys Wednesday, the midweek Locked On Chargers Squad Show after the Chargers a 22-19 win in overtime to improve to 9-4 as they get ready to face the Chiefs. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you on Wednesday.